it's about ready to start college football, man. I cannot wait. The Canes are absolutely loaded. Everybody's been talking about it. Speaking of the Canes, a guy that knows them as well as anybody in the country, Brett McMurphy, college football insider for On3, joins us. How you doing, Brett? How's it going, bud?
Good, Joe. You doing all right?
Man, I'm hanging in there. I can't wait to get all these games started and get into the season. It's going to be fun, but with that being said, we got to start with we got a new one now. So you get cut from camp and you can go back to college, except now the SEC and Big Ten and now the Big 12 have said you can't play college once you've signed a contract. Lane Kiffin goes, I don't care what the SEC commissioner, Daquan Wright is going to play, my old tight end at Ole Miss is going to be my tight end at LSU. What's going to happen there?
Joe, I'm just surprised I'm doing this interview with you. And when they asked me to come on, I thought you were going back to college also to try to fit in this loophole.
That kind of money.
You'd have a guest host. Look, I mean, this is similar to Brendan Sorsby trying to play after betting, gambling on his own team. That's like an unwritten. You don't need to create a rule. You can't do that. And this is the same thing to me. Once you basically determine that you're going professional, you actually play with a professional team, you play in games, you get signing bonuses with that professional team, you're done. But not in today's society. So LSU's going to fight this. We'll see if they're successful. All of the conferences now, all the Power Four conferences have put in, language that prohibits this. But again, you're going to have lawyers that sued successfully against the NCAA now trying to sue these conferences to get these kids eligible. But, I don't know. The Big Ten, the SEC, both. I don't know if you saw the penalties that they said will be that will follow if you go through with this, and we're talking 50% season game suspension, significant financial penalties. But everybody's always trying to get an edge. So it's the latest, hold my beer. It's the latest lawsuit to come down the pike.
Well, on top of all that, we got a judge that's already ruled, giving it the green light to happen. So now you got commissioners basically going against a judge ruling on it. And then the second part is Lane Kiffin and LSU are going directly against what the SEC commissioner has said they're going to do. Are they going to suspend Lane Kiffin? I mean, he's that's a big franchise in the SEC family. I wonder what's going to happen, or they let it go and say we got to it too late. You think this guy plays, Daquan Wright?
I don't. I think this one will hold up like the Sorsby deal did. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think it will hold up because the conferences have come out and basically, there's a line in the sand.
Yeah. You
want to try to cross it, you're gonna feel the wrath of the conference. For the SEC, the vote was 15-0. LSU chose not to vote, so they can say, "Well, we didn't vote against it, or we didn't vote for it." But yeah, Joe, I just think I'd be very surprised. And just like you said, we're only 2 days away from the games, and hopefully we can stop talking about all this nonsense for a few months.
Well, the good news is once these games do start, I found out last year when the football games were great. We had so many games. Of course, what was going on with UM down here and their great run at the end of the year, nobody was talking about money. Speaking of UM, I know you spent some time with the team at the ACC meetings, and what's your thoughts on just how good this Canes team can be to what we saw a year ago?
I think the differences last year, not to the people inside the building, but the people outside of the building or outside of Coral Gables, they probably snuck up on a lot of people. Maybe they didn't expect Miami to have that kind of breakthrough. But that's over. The gig's up. Everybody knows about Cristobal and the Hurricanes, and they're going to get everybody's best shot. They're ranked among the top 7 teams in the AP preseason poll, which is great news because 19 of the last 22 years, the national champion has ranked in the top 7 in the preseason poll. I love the change at quarterback. I've talked to you about this before. I think people there view him as a combination of Beck and Cam Ward. And the thing that will determine, I think, how successful Miami is if they continue to have the strength on the offensive and defensive line. Obviously, the defensive guys they lost in the NFL are huge. They're already talking. I saw people already projecting Reuben Bain being one of the steals of the NFL draft. So can those guys be replaced? The schedule sets up nicely. I mean, they start out on the West Coast, Stanford. You guys want to get an idea what Miami's playing? Stanford opens up Saturday against Hawaii. And then obviously, the heat really gets turned up in November when they go to South Bend.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. They look so good. Even the young guys that are filling in they got so many super talented guys on that offensive line. I can't wait to see them all play together. Hey, I'm closer to your neck of the woods. What's your thoughts on the Florida Gators? I haven't heard much. Do they jump and have a nice year in the SEC? What do you expect?
Well, certainly, John Summerall has got the fan base excited, and that's something new for the last few years. He's, at the SEC Media Days, without question, he won the gold medal for best one-liners and comments in the press conferences. So it's got everyone pumped up. Bottom line is you got to show results on the field, and they haven't been able to do that. He's that works when you win games. When almost, I don't want to put him in the same grouping as Spurrier as far as his quips, but how they do at quarterback. They've announced their quarterback. I think a lot of people are really high on them. I think they even got some votes in the top 25 poll. I did not put them in my top 25 ranking. I think it's too early. They go at Auburn and then Ole Miss back to back for weeks 3 and 4. I think that'll give us an idea. Is this a new and improved edition of the Florida Gators, or are we again just looking at a team that's going to hover around 6-6? Because the schedule is not easy.
No.
So you've got to win there's a lot of toss-up games. At Auburn's a toss-up, Ole Miss at home, at Missouri. I mean, it'd be easier to list the games that aren't toss-ups. You got to win more of those than you lose, and I think that'll be a question whether Florida has a vastly improved season this year or it's just kind of pretty similar to last year.
The other school, they make up the big three, where I've also spent money sending kids to school, is Florida State. I'm just curious. Boy, that seems like it's a hot seat for a head coach up there right now. How do you think they bounce back this year?
Well, you're talking about the big three. I thought you were talking about Miami, Florida, and Bethune-Cookman. But, yeah, this is, you and I are old enough that we remember when they used to make publish dictionaries. Well, if you look at the word hot seat, you'd see Mike Norvell's picture right there. But fortunately, they don't publish those anymore, so he's not in there. This is breaking news here. This is a critical season. I actually think Florida State, keeps their head above water and gets to a bowl game. The question is, is 7 wins, 6 wins, is even 8 wins enough for Florida State and their expectations? They've got a tomato can Saturday, New Mexico State. They can name the score there. Obviously, they'll have an eye on next week's game against SMU, projected to be, I'd say either the second or third best team behind Miami. So that's going to be critical. And then you go to Alabama in what will be a huge revenge spot for the Crimson Tide. So if they stumble against SMU, they could be looking at a 1-2 start. And when you're on a hot seat, that's not great. It's unfortunate, but that's just today's climate. So I'm not going to avoid the question. But people ask me, well, would Florida State make a move in season? I don't know if they would. Joe, I don't think there's any benefit to that.
I don't either.
If things do go south.
Yep.
And if you want exhibit 1A, look at Penn State last year. They made the move on James Franklin early. And I'm not saying whether that was the right move or the wrong move, but I'm saying when they did make it, I think was the wrong move, because their idea was, okay, now we're going to get ahead of this. We're going to identify our candidates, and we're going to get a jump on these guys and go get these guys. Well, what happened? They got half of college football new contracts because everybody locked up their guys so they wouldn't go to Penn State, and then they lucked into Matt Campbell at the last minute. So I don't think you would see an early move. I don't see any advantage to it. And the other thing is, a lot of these schools, when they want to make the change, they put an interim in place. Well, the worst thing, which sounds weird, is the interim then runs the table. And now it's like, okay, are you pressured now? Yeah. Do we have to hire the interim when we really had no intention of the interim because we're looking at guys from different schools? But, Florida State's got the talent. Again, I sound like a broken record. I think quarterback's going to be the issue here. And Ashton Daniels, I think he's a nice player. But you look at I don't have it in front of me. I forgot what it is. But his win-loss record as starting quarterback is not. Let's just say it this way: it's not good. It's 4-16 or something like that. Now you can't put it all on the starting quarterback, but they've missed since they didn't get Cam Ward and Miami got Cam Ward. You just look at the trajectory of both programs, and they're taking another flyer on a transfer quarterback. Hopefully for the Noles, this one will work out a lot better than the last few.
Before I let you go, just real quickly, Clemson is a team that Miami has to play this year. He finally hit the transfer portal. Dabo hit it hard, 17 guys coming in. He realized he's got to do it along with – he's always been a pretty good high school recruiter. How good can they be as Miami has to go up there and play? What do you expect from that team?
Yeah, well, I mean, don't count Clemson out yet. I don't think they're gonna be the Clemson of old, and they're gonna win the ACC and go to the college football playoff. But they're not. Don't pair them, in the back end of the conference either. This is a big year for Dabo because I know you guys hear and see what he says during the offseason, and he asked. People asking about Clemson, and then he reels off how they've done in the last, 10, 12 years,
Yep.
The second winningest program, whatever category you want to put it in, the Clemson's up there on the top, which is true. But, nowadays, what have you done for me today is what all people care about. Chad Morris is the new offensive coordinator. He's had some ups and downs in the past. We'll see how that works out. They've got a monster opener at LSU. They're, I think they're over a 14-point underdog. I'd have to look it up the last time that has happened, but it's probably dates before Dabo Swinney got there. So that's kind of the perception the program's in right now. But they are, some people think that they could sneak up and maybe challenge for the conference title. I don't think they're there. I think they're in the second tier behind Miami, SMU, and Louisville. And then you just mix them in with a group of 4 or 5 teams with Pitt and teams like that. The issue is at Clemson, the issue is for everywhere, and this will be the same thing at Miami. Once you get to a certain level, you win a championship, you win a national championship. If you don't get back in the playoff, then the season's a disappointment. Miami's been to the national title game now. If they're not in the playoff every year, whether it's fair or not, doesn't matter. But people are going to say this is not a successful season, and that's just kind of what they talk about, feeding the monster. That's what you got to do, and give Dabo credit. He did what I don't think anybody could have done at Clemson. And the challenge is to maintain that. And, yeah, you're right. He's finally dipped his toe in the portal, but is it too little too late?
Yeah. Hey, it's always great having you, Brett. I really appreciate you finding time for us, man. We hit the whole state today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good luck back in college, Joe. Enjoyed working with you.
I got to get my 40 time down a little bit. Thank you. All right, I appreciate it. Brett McMurphy, College Football Insider for On 3. We're going to go to break. We've got the 9 o'clock hour. Man, time's flying. You bring Kim Bocamper in today, and time is flying. Chapman